Have you ever been unaware of what to do when someone passes away, especially if that person is from another culture? Recently, a doctor whom I see every day had a family member pass away. They are a Muslim family. Everyone in our department, including me, was curious as what was appropriate. Should we send flowers? Do they have visitation? Should we or are we allowed to go to the funeral? And what do we wear if we go? With the United States being a melting pot, I thought this would be interesting and appropriate to discuss the process of a Muslim funeral and what is the appropriate thing for me to do in this situation and not offend anyone. To begin, when a Muslim person is close to death, family members and close friends should be present. The people present should offer the dying person kindness and hope. They are also to encourage the dying person to say Shahada. This means there is no other God but Allah. As soon as the person passes, those who are present should say a phrase that means, "Verily we belong to Allah, and truly to Him we shall return." After the person is passed, according to Sharia or Islamic law, the body should be buried as soon as possible. But there are some things that have to be completed before the burial. Unlike other cultures, Muslims do not embalm the bodies of the deceased unless they are required by law. Here in Kentucky, embalming is not required. The first step when preparing the body is to cleanse the body. The spouse, or more preferred, someone of the same sex, must wash the body. The body is typically washed 3 times. It can be washed more than 3 times if it is still dirty, but has to be washed an uneven amount of times. If the deceased is a female, the hair must be washed and placed in 3 braids. The body is washed in a specific order: upper right side, upper left side, lower right side, lower left side. When this is complete, the body is covered in a white sheet. After the body has been properly washed, then they shroud the body. 3 large white sheets made of cotton are placed one on top of the other. The body is then placed on top of those 3 sheets. If it is possible, the left hand should rest in the chest while the right hand rests on top of the left, kind of like they are praying. The sheets are then folded over the body, taking the right side, then the left side, and repeating until all 3 sheets are folded over. The shroud is then secured by 4 ropes, 1 above the head, 2 around the body, and 1 under the feet. After the cleaning and shrouding process has been completed, then the body is now ready to be transported to the mosque. Now, this is the part where other cultures would typically have a visitation, but in the Islamic religion, they don't do that. As I mentioned previously, the goal is to get the person buried as quickly as possible so there's no viewing of the body before the funeral. Instead, the funeral prayers are said by members of their community. These take place at the mosque, but are not permitted to be done inside. They are usually done in a study hall, a prayer room, or in the courtyard. Those who pray will face towards Mecca, and they will form at least 3 lines, starting with the closest related male, then men, then children, and lastly women. After the prayer, the body is then transported to the gravesite. Traditionally, only men are allowed at the graveside for burial. The grave is facing towards Mecca, and the body should also be placed on the right side facing towards Mecca. Those who are placing the body in the grave should recite a line that means, "In the name of Allah and the faith of the messenger of Allah." So like this. Once the body is in the grave, wood or stone should be placed over the top of the body to prevent direct contact with the dirt that's filling it. Each mourner will take turns placing dirt in the grave. When they are finished, they will place a small stone or marker so that the grave is recognizable, but they do not use traditional monuments like you would see in a cemetery. Now that we have the process, let's discuss what someone of another religion is allowed to partake in. Basically, the only part I would be allowed to partake in would be the burial, and since I'm a woman, I will not be allowed at graveside. At the particular funeral that I mentioned in the beginning of my speech, the woman stood outside of a fence that was around the mosque. You could see what was happening, but you just couldn't take place in the events. Most Muslim funerals are silent. Crying is allowed, but loud wailing and screaming is frowned upon. For a non-Muslim woman, you are required to wear long pants, a skirt, long sleeves. At the funeral I'm discussing, non-Muslim women did not have to wear a headscarf, but were still required to dress very modestly. Men should have on long pants and long sleeves as well. The main point is to blend in and don't draw attention. The tradition is for women to wear no makeup, but if you must wear makeup, don't be flashy. For example, this is not the place to try out your new red lipstick. With all of this being said, I would like to point out that there are some similarities here with other traditional funerals. Traditional and Muslim faith encourage loved ones to be around as someone passes away. Just like other cultures or religions, they pray for the lost one as a community, like a church would for Christians. They bury the person just like most cultures, and they believe the person who passed away will go on to another place, just like many other religions. Learning about the Muslim faith has shown me even though they do things differently, such as not embalming, cleaning the body themselves, shrouding the body, and burying the body themselves, there is nothing to be nervous about. With a little research and respect for another person's preference, you can attend any kind of ceremony. We are a nation of many people, and I think that educating ourselves so that we can respect and understand other cultures is important.